Hey guys, and welcome back to Anthony's Tennis Hub. My name's Anthony Hirsch. Today I want to talk about some sad news that has come out of Roland Garros. Novak Djokovic has withdrawn from his quarterfinal match where he was to play Casper Ruud in the quarterfinals. He had an MRI scan today where it is said that he has a torn medial meniscus in his right knee. Of course, he got injured in his match against Francisco Cerundolo's second consecutive 5-set match, where in the second set, at around 1-1 in the second set, he slipped and he hurt his knee, and he said that he had already had this knee hurt before, but that this really pushed it over the line and made it much worse. So Novak Djokovic has withdrawn. Casper Ruud is straight through to the semifinals, and an unfortunate situation for the tournament with a lot of stakes on it and a lot of different consequences of this happening. Big news to shake everything that's going on in tennis at the moment, so I want to talk about that. Please don't forget to subscribe to Anthony's Tennis Hub if you are new, and please don't forget to like the video as well if you have not already done so. So in terms of this kind of news, it's the last way that Jannik Sinner would have wanted to claim the world #1 ranking. Sinner is the new world #1. Which is very, very exciting. It's only exciting for him in that regard. He has earned it. He has been the best player in the world over the last 52 weeks, clearly with the rankings, but especially since the U.S. Open, he has been by far and large the best player in the world. Hasn't even been particularly close. I would even argue in that regard. And so congratulations to him. In terms of Djokovic, what it means for him, he is dealing with that knee injury. We'll see about when he can play next, whether that's Wimbledon or the Olympics. It's going to be very hard for him to play on grass with the knee. It's hard to know what it means for his season. I mean, the Olympics as a tournament, he said, is top priority for this season. And we'll see if he can play it. I mean, a fantastic 2 last matches to play here over Musetti and Cerundolo. It felt like, at least in the last few sets of both those matches, he was finding some astoundingly good form. I did think it was always going to be hard for him to bounce back anyway, so I didn't really think his chances were high for the rest of the tournament to actually pick up the title. But still, he finished with the last 2 matches, and I think he'll absolutely be a contender if he's healthy at the Roland Garros Olympics, which will be happening. The Olympics that'll be held at Roland Garros in Philippe Chatrier. So we'll see with that. And where Djokovic can pick up next, but it's a very sad news for the event, and a lot of things are happening as a result of it. Obviously, the Sinner #1, which I'll talk about just a little bit more, but also I want to mention a few things. First of all, first, there's going to be a new first-time champion at Roland Garros from the 6 players remaining in the draw: Alex de Minaur, Stefanos Tsitsipas, Casper Ruud, Sasha Zverev, Carlos Alcaraz, and Jannik Sinner. One of those guys is going to be a first-time Roland Garros champion. A guy is going to be a Roland Garros champion who's born after 1987. A young, next-gen, new generation player. Younger player born since 1987. It's going to be a Roland Garros champion. The fact that there hasn't been one is the most absolutely astounding thing. And it could be a guy born in 2003. That's what the case was at Wimbledon. No champion born since 1987. And it's Alcaraz, who was born in 2003. So basically, for champions born after 1987, the first champion at the U.S. Open was Juan Martín del Potro, who's already retired. He was born in 1988. And obviously, after that, there was Dominic Thiem and Marin Cilic and other players as well. Daniil Medvedev. But U.S. Open, Juan Martín del Potro. Wimbledon, Carlos Alcaraz. Australian Open, Jannik Sinner. There's only one tournament to play for now of the Grand Slams for champions born after 1987. Whoever wins this will break the streak of Federer, Nadal, Wawrinka, and Djokovic being the only players to have won Roland Garros since 2004. And that was the last thing I was going to say, is that not only is there going to be a new champion that's not one of those 4 guys, one of those older generation guys, there's going to be a final without any of the big 3 in it for the first time since 2004 at Roland Garros. So I've spoken about this before. It feels like maybe a new era has started, and maybe some people didn't realize, but it feels like maybe this is the start of a new era. Unfortunately for Djokovic, Just speaking about his injury as well, this is some of the stuff that he said. He was blaming kind of the rain and also saying that parts of the court were uneven with the clay. I can give you his exact quote. He said, "It seems like some of the clay was removed, so there is very little, almost no clay on the court today. Almost no clay on the court because some of the clay was removed. Because of the drier conditions in sun and warmer conditions, it affects the clay in such a way that, it becomes very slippery. So the injury that I had today with the knee happened exactly because of that. Because I slipped. And I slide a lot. I mean, everyone slides on clay, but I slipped way too many times." So that's what Djokovic said. And yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. It's an unfortunate situation, that's just it. Sometimes you have unfortunate situations, that's just it. And it is unfortunate, but it means that Jannik Sinner is the new world number one. And, I mean, this is a guy that absolutely worked hard to get here. And just before I go to Sinner, I do want to point out, just finish off on the other point I was making about the new era, because I feel like it's a good gateway into talking about Sinner. When we talk about a new era of tennis, maybe in hindsight, when we discuss when the new era started, because it's very subjective, a lot of people claim that the golden era, the big three era, the big four era started when Federer beat Sampras at Wimbledon. That's when a lot of people say that started. Or maybe when Federer won his first Wimbledon, whatever the case. Maybe, in hindsight, history will look back at the start of the Sinner-Alcaraz era and the era following the big three as the first beginnings of the kind of end of the era was Alcaraz beating Djokovic the final of Wimbledon, where Djokovic had not lost on center court for 10 consecutive years, one of his best majors, and Sinner beating Djokovic at the Australian Open was the final punch to kick the door open for the new era at the Australian Open, where Djokovic also had just not lost for like 5 consecutive years. His 2 best majors. Sinner beating him in the semifinal, Alcaraz beating him in the final. Those 2 guys beating him at his best 2 majors. Maybe in hindsight we'll see as Alcaraz beginning the end of the era, and Sinner with that final blow, that final forehand inside down to the corner, where he beat Djokovic, put his hands up in the air. Maybe that began the marks of a new era. Nadal and Djokovic both lost very easy, simple matches in Rome, a tournament they had absolutely dominated, and they've both been struggling. I mean, I can give you stats, but I mean, maybe we'll look back at that. And is this, I'll finish off talking about Sinner as world number one, I think, but I'll say this. Is this the last week, right now, is this the last week that a Big Four player is holding a top spot in the rankings? Andy Murray, Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal. Is this the last time, the final week, that a Big Four player is holding top spot in the rankings? Here are the stats. Djokovic, 428 weeks as number one. It could end off as 428. Also, you could mention the 22 frozen weeks are a slight asterisk, but that's the number, right? We have no idea what it could have made it worse. It could have made it better. So we're just going to do this. Somebody else could have gone number one. We're just going to go with the numbers as they are. Djokovic, 428 weeks is number one. He might go down to number 2 or maybe 3. Alcaraz could still pass him. And he has massive points to defend throughout the rest of 2024. Federer, 310 weeks is number 1. Obviously, he's retired. Nadal, 209 weeks is number 1. He's number 275 in the world. Murray, 41 weeks is number 1, 75 in the world. That is 988 weeks number 1 combined from February 2nd, 2004, when Federer took it from Roddick, to June 9th, 2024. February 2nd, 2004 to June 9th, 2024, when Sinner will take it from Djokovic. Djokovic could still take it back. We never know what will happen in the future. It really could happen. But over 20 years of 4 guys in the same era, 20 years, 4 months, and a week, 12 weeks away from a millennium milestone, which would be 988. A whopping 7,433 days that they spent as world number 1. 1,061 weeks total from that February 2nd, 2004 to June 9th, 2024. That's a total of 1,061 weeks of which they were number one 988 of those weeks. 93%. And by the way, that does exclude the frozen pandemic weeks, so it's even higher. 4 players for more than 20 years as world number one. And it could be the last time. I mean, maybe some of us didn't even know it. Maybe the new era happened. Who knows? But yeah. The other thing I want to mention before I move on to Sinner is that Casper Ruud, people are going to say has easy draws, and that's fine. Bad. He had nothing to do with it. He has no control over who he's playing. So even if you are of the opinion that he has easy draw, whatever the opinion is, please don't send hate his way. And he had no control over it, so I just wanted to point that out as well. And I personally think Casper Ruud is an elite clay courter, and I think I would have given him a shot in that Djokovic match as well. Anyway, especially after Djokovic played 2 5-set matches in the way that he did. But yeah, I mean, circumstances are circumstances. Casper Ruud's through the semis. That's all that it is, and there you go. But the biggest kind of circumstance outside of Djokovic and his unfortunate situation, we'll see where he plays next, is Jannik Sinner as world number one. And similarly to Djokovic at the start of his career when he reached world number one in July of 2011, Sinner's broken through over the last 6 to 8 months in a way that's just been absolutely phenomenal. And it's not like it started here. He's been building and building and improving and working hard, and he's had so many different struggles, whether it's best of 5 or versus top 5 players or physical aspect or the serve or adding variety, or you can name so many other things. Some people saying that his body just isn't really built for the sport. There's a lot of things being said. Like he was not going to be world number one, Alcaraz was going to beat him. There's so many things being said, right? But Jannik Sinner found a way anyways. The 29th world number one in the ATP rankings. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He played a good match today against Dimitrov as well. And yeah, I think he's good on all of the surfaces now. He's very complete. It's very hard to find a weakness. At his best, he just looks almost perfect. And he's still improving, which is just terrifying for the rest of the tour. So Jannik Sinner, absolute shout out to him. Hopefully Djokovic gets healthy soon. Hopefully this has been a good recap of everything that's going on. This tournament is very interesting at the moment. It is a shame Djokovic had to withdraw, but it's a wide open event, although all of the names left are top tier names, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Sinner could still, Sinner still won the first tournament of the year, and he's going for a second, and we all know what that means, the possibility that lies ahead with potentially a calendar slam, although it's very unlikely. But either way, it'll be fun to see how the tournament unfolds and how Sinner's season unfolds. World number one, fully deserved, and wishing Novak a speedy recovery. Please don't forget to subscribe to Anthony. Sign us up for more videos. Please don't forget to like as well. I will see you guys at the next one for the next video.